Welcome to First Chapter Fridays with Miss Valine, here with a spectacular book full of spirits and witchcraft and perfect timing for Hispanic Heritage Month that is getting started. A book by Kaela Rivera, Cece, Rios, and the Desert of Souls. From the back. Living in Tierra del Sol is dangerous, especially in the Criatura months, when powerful spirits roam the desert. But when Cece Rios' older sister, Juana, is kidnapped by a powerful dark Criatura, Cece is determined to bring her back. That means she'll have to become a bruja, a human who captures and controls Criaturas. And brujeria is a terrible crime. With the legendary Criatura Coyote, who has a soft spot for humans at her side, Cece sets out to reunite her family and maybe even change what it means to be a bruja along the way. Some people have said this book is mesmerizing, spellbinding, and a new Narnia full of desert heat and danger. Here it comes. First chapter, Cece Rios and the Desert of Souls. Please excuse my mispronunciation of some words. The Criatura of Progeny and Stars. I was 7 years old when I met my first Criatura. I was wandering through the cerros, the hills of the desert beyond town, at night, barely avoiding low heads of cactus. In the dark, their spines looked more menacing than they did under the sun. But then I was a child. Everything looked menacing in the dark. I was lost. No matter where I turned, I couldn't see the light of town. No other children had left me hours ago. I should have gone home with them, but I wanted to watch the sunset by myself. I should have known better. It was winter, and with winter came danger. Not because of cold, but because it was Los Meses de Criatura, the Criatura months. Since before I could remember, Mama had taught me the legends of the Criatura. They were creatures unlike humans, children of the desert goddess, who the great namer created from dust and words. Mama taught me the difference between animal Criatura, who were made to fill the desert, and dark Criatura, who were made to attack the descendants of the sun god, us. But her advice for dealing with both types was the same. You must steal their souls and command them to leave you, she always said, for you cannot outrun a Criatura once it sets its sights on you. Her words seemed to wrap around my throat as I turned in the darkness, trying to find the distant outline of my town. Are you lost, human child? I gasped and whirled around, clutching my shirt. Out of the shadows cast by the hills, a creature slipped into view. She walked forward on legs of flesh, just as smooth and brown as anyone's in towns. Her skirt was bright with red and green and blues. Her headdress shimmered with sleek owls and quetzal feathers to match, and its ornate moonstone beads swayed from side to side. But from the waist up, she was bones. My voice froze in my throat. Her face was a skull, her jaw hanging just slightly open, as if ready to speak. Her eyes were empty black sockets, but I could feel them on me. I met their gaze, craning my head back in silent terror as I stopped in front of me. It was Cecelia, the Criatura of Stars and Devouring, a dark Criatura. Her lanky shadow fell over me in stripes, the gaps in her rib bones letting through beams of moonlight. Her jaw open and her voice came out of the motionless cavity. You are from far, where your people dwell in the once great city of Tierra del Sol. Surely you are lost. My heart hammered so loudly, I was sure Tsitsi Middle would hear it and try to bite it out of my chest. I crossed my arms over myself and stumbled back a few steps. Don't eat me! I turned to run, but bony fingers wrapped around my shoulder before I got the chance. Tsitsi Middle's strength was irresistible. You do not want to wander through Mother Desert's land alone, human child, she said. Here, criaturas roam freely from 2 more months, and La Yarana is loose in your world right now. She will drown you, or snake criatura will eat you. I shook under her grasp. But please, I just want to go home. She cocked her skull and her headdress shifted so its metallic stars clattered. I'll take you home, she offered her bony hand. I stared at the fingers. Don't you know you can trust me, human child? I am Tsitsi Middle. The great namer made me the protector of human children. Mama had always said that criatura would kill me. La Llorona would drown children in rivers, and Golden Eagle would snatch us away in his talons. El Somberon would steal daughters from their families, and the Gray Wolf would feast on the lost. But wouldn't Tsitsi Middle have hurt me by now if she were bad? Slowly, I put my hand in hers, her bones closed over my soft skin carefully, and she led me in a new direction. What is your name, human child? She asked as we wandered between scrub and cacti. I stared up at her. She wore a necklace that flashed in the moonlight. The simple stone of leather on leather swung with every step we took. Cece? Cece Rios? Another Rios, she said. I believe humans carry their names from one mother to another, correct? Your family has a history with criatura then. Do you know of criatura Rios in Devil's Alley? They call her criatura Cager of Souls. Mama had mentioned her once, but she hadn't been very happy about it. Is she my mom's sister, my tia? I do not know your mother. She pulled me sideways before I could step on a sleeping snake. But you share her last name, and you have her eyes. Perhaps she is your tia, though I think you do not share the same heart. As we walked, my muscles slowly relaxed. Tsitsi Middle didn't do any of the things Mama said criatura did. She didn't try to eat me. She didn't try to drown me or lure me into a volcano. And after 10 minutes, the town lights appeared in the distance. So I knew she was helping me after all. I jumped up and down, pointing in the distant building. That's it, Tierra del Sol. Tsitsi Middle smiled down at me, her soul necklace swinging with my movement. At least I thought she was trying to smile. It was hard to tell since she didn't have lips. Tsitsi Middle, can I ask you something? I asked as she continued toward town. You may, though I cannot promise I will answer. I pouted. Mama's book said you were the devourer. I don't know exactly what that means, but it sounds bad. Why are you helping me? She said, and then didn't speak for a long time. After several unbearable moments, I shook her arm. Well, I asked. The town lights grew brighter, each building like a lantern warming the edge of the desert. We crossed into the town's shadow, abandoned outskirts, the ruins, Mama called the area, left over from the ancient battle with the criatura. Large, empty husks of adobe buildings lined us left and right as we walked, but I kept my eyes on the lights. They were bright underneath the shadows of the cone-shaped oil wells lying far, far on the other side of town. I'd never been out in that direction, but Papa said the oil fields lay all the way outside the ruins that ringed my town toward the east. And when he got a job there, he'd make enough money to build us a real house out of adobe. Tsitsi Middle's fingers closed more tightly around mine. I looked up at her again. When the moon blacks out the sun and naked man trembles in wonder at the heavens, she said, using the name our legends use for humankind. I am called to be the devourer. It's what I was named for. But I was also named the protector of progeny, the keeper of naked man's children. I stared up at her as the worn dirt road leading through the ruins and into the town appeared beneath our feet. I don't get it, I said. How can you be both? I wonder the same thing sometimes, she sighed and patted my head with her own hand. But it was the name given to me, so it is what I am. Only the great namer knows why. The great namer, I scrunched up my forehead as she reached the edge of the ruins, met my town. Warm yellow light fell over us as we crossed over. Mama had definitely told me about the great namer before, hadn't she? You mean Coyote? I exclaimed when I remember his other name. Tita Middle flinched. Shh, child! I pulled my shoulder up to my ears. Her stance relaxed when she saw no one was around, and she nudged me to start walking again. I followed quietly. That is his name, she said in a hushed tone. He's my favorite, I whispered. Out of all the legends, I like Coyotes the best. Then I straightened up. Oh, but yours is nice too, Tita Middle. Well, not nice exactly. I paused and looked up her, the devourer leading me safely home. I squinted as I thought about it. She couldn't be both. So she must be what I saw, the one who was nice enough to bring me home. We entered the town square, and she glanced across many avenues. Where's your home, mija? She asked. I was about to point to the street where we heard a voice behind us. Miguel, she must be here somewhere. She knows better than to leave the town. Quiet. We will find her. The voices piled up into noise. I turned around and Tita Middle let my hand slip out of hers. From one of the streets behind us, Mama and Papa appeared at the head of a great party of people. They held torches high, and the square was soon flooded with orange firelight. I shouted, Mama! Their heads swung toward us. Tita Middle took a step back. Mama, Papa, I called, throwing my arms up in the air. Their mouths dropped open as they spotted me. I ran forward laughing. I'd missed my familia so much. A criatura! Mama screeched. She and Papa dove past me toward Tita Middle. I flinched as they and the party of torchbearers flooded by. Without hesitation, they mobbed my friend, pulling her under their massive strength. At first, she fought back. She delivered powerful blows with her bony arms. She tossed some to the side. She even grabbed the man nearest her and opened her jaw wide. Someone screamed as her teeth aimed for the man's shoulder. My stomach suddenly knotted up. She wasn't going to devour him, was she? She was good. She wouldn't. Just before she bit down, her wide socket stopped on me. I looked at her and held my breath and hoped. Slowly, her bony fingers released the man. She stopped fighting. Immediately, the adults yanked her under a mass of torches and ropes. I dove into the crowd. Don't hurt her! I filled my lungs with to the brim and let out a scream. Stop it! I found Papa and dug my fingers into his belt. He looked down at me over his shoulder, his eyebrows crushed downward as he shoved me away from the fight. Stay back, Cece! At the center of mayhem, Mama reached down, gripped the necklace I had noticed swinging from Tita Middle's neck bone earlier, and yanked. The leather snapped. Tita Middle let out a painful sounding gasp. Call the head of the police, Papa cried out as Mama gave him a stone. We will kill her tonight before she can lure any more of our children away. No, I said. But the mob still dragged Tita Middle away. Mama crouched down beside me and turned my face into hers. Cece, calm down, Pepita. You're safe now. I shook my head. She's not bad, Mama. You can't hurt her. Mama's hand froze at my face. Mija, she said, her voice like iron. Criaturas are dangerous. If we do not destroy them when they come after us, they will overrun our people as they did in the days when the curanduras failed. She gripped my face. You must not cry. You must not be weak. She gave my chest a hard pat. You are a Rios, a descendant of the sun god. You cannot let your tears make you more water than fire. I didn't know what she meant, but I knew I didn't like it. So I pulled away and I ran. The crowd had finished tying Titimiddle to the criminal's post in the center of town square, her wrist bones bound in a knotted wad of rope. Papa was speaking to the head of police, who still was in his pajamas. I ran up behind Papa and snatched Titimiddle's stone soul with a knife from his back pocket. Fortunately, he didn't notice. I raced toward Titimiddle, her chin lifted at my approach. Cece! Mama roared. Cece, you stay away from that criatura! I skidded to a stop and cut her free. Titimiddle stood on her muscular brown legs. The townspeople rounded on us. She let it free, someone hollered. Everyone surged forward. I offered her the soul stone where it rested in my palm. There was a tingly, warm sensation, the way I always felt when I looked up at the stars at night. Titimiddle took it from me in a clatter of stone and bone, already moving toward the outskirts of town. But as she did, she looked at me. I am the protector of progeny, the criatura of stars and devouring, she said, her voice booming over the noise of the mob. It was so powerful that townspeople fell silent, and they halted suddenly a couple feet behind me. I was named to see into the souls of children, and this day I tell you, Cece Rios, that you have been blessed with a soul like water. None shall have power to burn you or make you ash. And then she fled. Crisp, cool air settled on me after her words. My heart swelled, then if breaking out of a trance. Then crowd rushed past me after Titimiddle's rapid escape. Angry yells replaced cool, peaceful feelings in the air. Someone's hand grabbed my face and shoved me into the ground. In the dirt, I prayed to the sun god that Titimiddle would not be taken. I prayed that Papa would not be angry. I prayed the townspeople would understand what I've done. The head of police marched over to Mama, and the two screamed at each other. I refuse to have another traitor like your sister in this town, he spat. You Rios women all end up the same. Go bury your daughter as a sacrifice to the desert. Mama straightened up furiously. She will not be a bruja. You heard the criatura's curse. It is only a matter of time until your daughter's weak heart betrays us. She will not, she said. I will save my hija from this curse, or ocean take me. The head of police was silently stunned. No one in Tierra del Sol liked to speak of the ocean goddess, with one exception, life or death oath. In the face of that vow, the head of the police had no choice but to believe Mama had let me stay in town. But no one would ever forgive me for that day. I revealed myself to be the town's weakest link. The day I had mercy on our ancient enemy. What an incredible first chapter. Pick up Cece Rios and the Desert of Souls by Kaela Rivera to finish the story and see what happens with Cece. See you next week.